So the cart that's been brought to me today is a 2020 Yamaha, and the symptoms are its range is getting shorter and shorter to the point where now it is barely making 18 holes. Barely. So the first thing we're going to do is take a look under here. The terminals clearly haven't been looked after. The batteries have not been washed off ever by the look of them. So we're going to start with that. We'll wash off the batteries and then start to deal with that. So I'm just using workshop degreaser and a spray pack. And there's going to be that one guy that says you shouldn't wet your batteries, that's what's causing corrosion. No, it's actually the opposite. You should definitely wash your batteries to get rid of the residual acid from the top of the batteries, because it's the chemical reaction from the residual acid on the batteries that actually causes that. Okay, how does residual acid get on the top of the batteries? Okay, so when you're charging and discharging lead acid batteries, charge receptacle there, they actually sweat slightly. By sweat I mean they produce a little bit of heat charging and also discharging, and they will sweat. That they're not sealed, so you'll get residual acid. When I say they sweat, that's why you have to put water back in them. Watering system on a lead acid battery bank, and it's, if you don't wash that off periodically, it builds up, and the chemical reaction does that and all these other terminals. So yes, wash your batteries, wash them off good, in fact. Do it regularly, and that's where we're going to start. We'll get all this washed up, then we'll start pulling terminals. Look at that. I'm surprised that's even charging, let alone discharging. That is terrible. Right, I'll get him washed down. You don't need to use a pressure cleaner, just a hose is fine. I'm going to pressure clean them. So all washed down, and I will reiterate that one more time for that one guy that says you shouldn't wet your electrics. That's not the case. You absolutely must keep them washed and clean. Don't worry about, oh, he's wet this, he's wet that. Right, these carts wouldn't be allowed to play on a wet track or a wet course if that was the case. You can wash everything. Nothing is going to be harmed from washing it. In actual fact, you wash it down and find stuff like that, and we're going to fix it. That is dead set going to be the problem. So now I'm going to remove all of the terminals. I'm going to try and get that bolt off. We'll pull all the terminals off and give them a wire wheel down. This sort of thing, poor contact, poses resistance. So there would have been resistance, there's the charge wire, would have been resistance to charge and also resistance to discharge, and that's probably why we're finding our range is dying so quickly, because these batteries aren't that old. So switching your cart to tow, that'll isolate the battery from the rest of the electrics, and we're going to undo a few of these terminals, starting with the really dirty ones. Okay, so not only is that corroded, it's corroded so bad that it's not even tight, so it's barely touching. I can undo that with my fingers. That's what happens when you don't wash your cart batteries, or don't keep them maintained and clean. That's all that's left of one of them. The problem with, see, that's actually separated. That's actually, there's two pieces to that now. The problem with not cleaning them and this happening is if there's enough resistance, it will melt that terminal, and then you are up for batteries. Right at the minute, I think we might have caught this in the nick of time. We're going to put a new terminal there, get rid of that one, a new terminal in there. You can see the corrosion started to creep up into the cable, and I've got a couple of others that we're going to clean up, and then just the battery terminals. We're going to hit them with a wire brush. Clean them up just like that. And the cables we might give a bit of a wire wheel to as well, especially that end. Okay, so I cleaned that guy, but see how it's already gone back into the copper material? That means it's obviously corroded to a point. That's now somewhat unprotected. So when we go back together, I'm actually going to spray it with a terminal protectant, which is that red stuff there. So at some stage it's had it sprayed on there, but we're going to recoat them, just redo them. It's obviously had it done, but not frequently enough because of that. If you don't have a drill with a wire wheel, that's fine, just use a wire brush, just take you a little longer. And same with the nut going back on. You see that guy's a bit chewed away, so I'm going to flip him over. And put that side down. New nuts would be the perfect scenario, but I've only got 2 new nuts, so I'm saving one obviously for that guy. And I'll have to order some more for next time. There's another one that's corroded away. So again, I'll clean them up. So you've got good contact. So now we're going to deal with this guy, and I know my cutters are overkill, but gets the job done. So take that terminal off. Just like that. And we're going to strip this insulation, we're going to strip that back. Make sure you've obviously got enough cable to re-terminal it. It'll be zip tied up in here somewhere. So now you've got plenty of room to re-terminal it, and you can re-zip tie it after. Strip this insulation back. I'll cut that one off while I'm going. Again, my overkill of cutters, bolt cutters. Job done. Just to expose fresh wire. And I'll do the same on this guy. I'm actually going to clean those wires up. They've got a little tinge of green on them, which means the corrosion's tried to creep up. So I'll just get some bicarb soda and water. Okay, ignore the bottle. It's just bicarbonate soda mixed with warm water. The ratio is not super important. I used 1 cup of warm water and a teaspoon of bicarbonate soda. And you'll see how it fizzes up and gets rid of all that corrosion. A little bit around some of the terminals too. One thing I will say is don't do it over concrete, it will stain your concrete, so get out on the rocks or your dirt driveway or whichever. See how it gets all the corrosion around the bottoms of those terminals where you can't get with a wire wheel. Like that. I've seen people just use boiling hot water too, and if that's all you've got available, then it's better than nothing. Even on these bolts, the clamp bolts, so you can see the corrosion fizzing up around them. Anything that's metal will corrode once you've got acid sitting around it. I'll just let that sit for a minute and then we're going to wash it all off. You see how that cable has just got a little bit of corrosion in it? We're just going to let that soak. That one too. And then just give them a rinse off. I'm just using the pressure cleaner without the actual cleaner switched on. Or just the hose or whichever. I'm just being lazy, I don't want to disconnect the hose. Okay, now here's the thing. These 2 terminals that you're going to replace, you've now bicarb sodaed them, you've now washed them down, so obviously got moisture on them. Either one, go away, have a cup of tea or something and just let them dry, or if you've got brake clean or carby clean, a good contact cleaner, something like that, and flush them off, just like that. We're going to replace the terminal just with one of these guys and a crimping tool. If you don't have a crimping tool, if you can remove the cable, if it's one of these fellas, or if you can remove it from the back, you can just crimp one of them in the vise just by squashing it down. So there's your new terminal crimped on, but like I said, you could do it other ways. If you get the cable out, you can squash it in the vise or hit it with a hammer, and whichever. So our other little terminal is just to crimp on, and yep, more overkill with my needle nose pliers. Way too big of cutters, way too big of pliers, but I'm just folding those edges over and then I'll squash it down with some more regular pliers, fencing pliers. Like that, and then a little bit of heat shrink over the top of him. I'll shrink him down. I'm actually hurrying through this, but that contact cleaner does get rid of any trapped moisture. We'll just heat shrink him down for a bit of protection. And we're right to go back together. So terminal on, charge wire on, and we'll find that nut. So just got a nut from a previous set of batteries that were replaced. I just kept the nuts that were in good condition. Don't over tighten them, obviously. Now we're going to dry off all of these terminals, and we're going to spray some protectant over them so that they don't start to re-corrode, because as I said, that some of that material has been worn away. So we'll dry these off. Now if it's a nice warm day, you can just walk away and let these dry off, but I'm going to use compressed air and just blow them off. Okay, so my batteries aren't dry, but the terminals are, and that's the only bit I'm concerned about. I'm just going to use a terminal protectant just to spray. You can use Vaseline, but a good terminal protectant doesn't cost you that much money. A lot cheaper than a set of batteries, that's for sure. And I'm just going to coat the top and let it run down. Just let it run all the way down the terminal. Maybe even give them a second coat later on. Yes, it's messy, but like I said, better than putting batteries in it. I might even let that dry and go back and put a second coat on them, but just letting it run in around the nut, down onto the cable and the terminal, just to protect us from corrosion. I'll definitely put another coat on that guy just to get that bit there. While that's drying, I will say this: if you're worried about pulling cables off and not having the knowledge of where do they go back, just do one at a time. Don't remove multiples. Like, remove that one, clean that one, put that one back. So you really can't mess it up. Make sure, or take a photo, just make sure you don't put them back the wrong way. These guys are pretty simple, and there's a diagram on the Yamahas here. So second coat of terminal protectant on, and yeah, it looks terrible, but you won't have to do that now for a long time. They're quite well coated. I'll now charge this guy up and put him back to work. I 100% guarantee that'll fix the range on this cart, because that terminal was barely connected, and that would be the resistance. I hope that helped. Do follow along. There's a ton of golf cart problem solving videos that we've done. Fix it yourself. See you next time.